The views or opinions expressed in the following broadcast do not necessarily reflect those of staff or management of DSETV. Viewer discretion is advised.
Is it safe?
Is it legal?
Is it beyond belief?
Above reproach or below the radar?
Controversial?
From consumer fraud to scams and conspiracies.
Government and corporate corruption? Fact
or fiction?
You decide. Take the litmus test.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Thank you very much for all of you coming out tonight on this rather cold and wintry night. I want to share with you what I've learned about nuclear power and the concepts of the price, the pollution, and the proliferation concerns about it. I want to challenge you about the picture that we have in front of us of what's happening, the direction we're going in. And then I want to talk to you about what we can do about it, because I really want to make this an interactive evening. I'm not going to show you PowerPoints. It's not the movies where you can sit back and just, watch these pretty pictures. Some of what I'm going to tell you I find quite disturbing. I'll let you decide on your own what your opinion is of it. And then I want to have a nice discussion and session afterwards. So let me start with some prepared remarks here. The first thing I want to do is give a framework, a kind of context for our discussion. We're experiencing the pollution of our environment with radioactivity. And this is a non-consensual, poorly planned, and poorly executed experiment that we're part of. And so the name of our organization, Physicians for Social Responsibility, implies social responsibility. And so I want to ask you tonight if you feel that you can accept this path we're going on. Right now in Fukushima, there's an endless amount of radioactivity flowing into the Pacific Ocean. We don't know what the ultimate effect of that will be, but it's happening. Any place where there's a nuclear reactor running, we run the risk of a catastrophic accident. And we see in places like Chernobyl and Fukushima, particularly well defined about what happens to the people and the terrible consequences that can happen. I also want to point out that the point of a nuclear reactor really is to boil water. And, as a species, can we not find a safer, better way to boil water? There are a number of ways to make electricity. Photovoltaic takes the energy from the sun, turns it directly into electric energy. Many other ways depend on turning a generator to create electricity. This could be solar thermal. This could be a wind turbine where the wind turns the generator, or hydropower, which might be a large dam, or more exciting to me are the ideas of the small units that you can anchor in a river or put in a tidal area and harvest the energy that way. And then there are a number of thermal systems. Coal being one of them. Coal has terrible consequences. Not only the greenhouse gases, which contribute to global warming, which is a terribly pressing problem that we face today and we need to take immediate action on, but it also has mercury pollution, acid rain, and particulate matters that come out. And later in the evening, I'm going to ask Stephanie Durnick, who Kevin introduced, to mention just a few words about what PSR is doing here in the state of Michigan to stop the coal burning here in the state. Natural gas contributes to greenhouse gas emissions, although less than coal, but we really feel that the dangers from fracking are also very great. It's not at all a solution from our point of view to the energy crisis we face. And nuclear has inherent dangers when you operate a reactor. And as I said before, all of it's to boil water. So I really want to ask you, to boil water, is it worth taking on the costs and the risks and the consequences of nuclear power? Now, nuclear reactors, they were conceived of, designed, and built first and foremost to make the materials for nuclear weapons. It was somewhat of an afterthought that people said, well, gosh, we're dumping a lot of hot water out back. We could turn a generator and make electricity. And so this connection with nuclear reactors and weapons is inextricably evident and existent. And if I would point to the case of Iran as an example of this in the larger world. Iran's claiming that according to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, they have an inalienable right to the peaceful use of the atom. They only want electricity. But clearly the rest of the world is very concerned about the fact that a nuclear reactor is the path to a nuclear weapon. So there's always this link between power and weapons. Furthermore, as you may know, the Manhattan Project was started in 1942 when we were very worried in the Second World War that Germany was seeking to develop some super weapon that would actually give them full dominance over the world. And so the Manhattan Project was started in secrecy to build a nuclear weapon as fast as we could. That was the top priority, is getting the weapon. We really didn't think at all about the environmental consequences, about the health implications, or about the waste issues inherent. The allowable radioactive exposures were determined to be for the standard man, which you could interpret to be the worker on the assembly line of a factory making nuclear weapons. They wanted to make sure the workers would be okay. Today we know that women and fetuses are 10 times more sensitive to radioactivity than a man is. So really, allowable standards should be reduced to be 1/10 of what they are. And there are some people working on this effort to do this.